Hey everybody, this week on the DenziBlitz, it's part 4 of our look at Uchuu Keiji Shaider. Hey everybody, it is Mike back with you for another DenziBlitz. This is part 4 of our look at Uchuu Keiji Shaider, Space Sheriff Shaider, the third of the Space Sheriff trilogy, the third Metal Heroes series. Today we are looking at 6 episodes, episodes 17 through 22. So we're looking at The Mysterious Writings of the Space Sheriffs. Episode 18, The Fallen Empire Swallowed by the Pacific Ocean. Episode 19, Annie in Danger. Episode 20, The Fushigi Song. Episode 21, Oh No, The Beast Family. And episode 22, The Merman Calls the Ocean of Mysteries. So first impressions of this batch of episodes. Of course, if you would like some full-blown synopses and so on, I suggest surfing around online. metalheroes.wikia.com has been my resource for most of my Metal Hero research for the series here. But first impressions out of this batch of episodes. This is more what I was expecting when I came to the dance. These 6 episodes are a marked improvement over everything I've seen thus far out of Shaider. The one area where it is still lacking compared to Gavin, really for me, is a strong enough bad guy with an interesting story, a meta plot, if you will, and a tie to our hero. Gavin has Hunter Killer, who is a renegade space sheriff, who Gavin essentially has a grudge with, and they are rivals. That style of character doesn't exist here. There is no bad guy that Shaider has an intense rivalry with, or a story that ties them together. There is still no overall plot that drives the story beyond the bad guys invading Earth. Now, that's not unusual for early tokusatsu. It's not unusual for early 80s tokusatsu, but it's a little disappointing still because that's something that Gavin had that this series is lacking. That aside, up to this point, I've been disappointed by a lot of the visual effects. I've been disappointed by a lot of the action. I've been disappointed by a lot of the costume choices. The monster costumes out of these 6 episodes, for the most part, very good. There was one that looked a little awkward, sort of an elephant-inspired, mostly white or cream-colored costume that just didn't do much for me. But everything else looked pretty darn good out of this batch of episodes. From a visual effects standpoint, much better. The compositing, the scenes for the Strange Realm, the Fushigi Realm, much better. Overall, just a marked improvement all the way around. It almost feels as if someone gave them the budget 15 episodes in. So that's the sort of amazement to me watching this. The music continues to improve. There's less familiar music, less music that feels recycled, and more music that is specifically for this show. The acting continues to improve. The action, much better in these episodes than some of the ones I've seen before. One of the most interesting things to me, though, in this is there is a moment where you can very much tell that Tsuburaya's stuntman jumped in for a few scenes just because the hairstyle was different. Even from the back, it was kind of obvious. It wasn't a very long scene, but you could tell. A little effort, perhaps, to cut the stuntman's hair in such a way that it matched the hero's hair would have been nice. Some specific stuff out of these episodes, because there were a few plots here that really struck me as pretty darn cool. We get a good chunk of just average Monster of the Week kind of stuff out of this. But the standout episodes to me. And I'm going to apologize up front because I'm looking at it almost feels like the episode descriptions that I've got research on somehow got knocked out of sync with the actual episode count somehow. I'm not 100% certain, but that's kind of what it feels like. Um, so in one or two cases here, I may mix up some episodes, and if I do, I apologize. I believe it is episode 19. Annie in Danger is the first one that really stuck out to me. Um, Even though it's still highly episodic, the actual plots of these episodes are getting better as single episode plots. Um, Now, granted, we do have cases where our villains have this fantastic evil plan, and it's actually a sound concept. And wow, that's actually a cool villain idea. And I feel like my hero might be in danger. But then there are other episodes where it's just, this is the best you came up with. So, the first one, like I said, I believe if I've got my episode counts right here, I believe it's episode 19, Annie in Danger. The plot, which feels a lot like they hijacked a couple of old Shaw Brothers movies for inspiration. The basic concept is a tournament. There are two murderers that have been who have escaped, and the FBI is looking for them. The U.S. government agency, the FBI, is searching for them, and they enlist Scheider's help. So on the surface, this is not a a Fuma plot. This is not something that Lord Kublai has orchestrated. We find out eventually, of course, that it is. But essentially, there's the kidnapping of athletes who are then forced to fight in this gladiatorial type environment, fight to the death. Scheider shows up, realizes that something here is horribly, horribly wrong, and that the athletes are not under control of, are not controlling themselves, so to speak. They're under the influence of some other power. Um, what this leads to is this very interesting idea. Once you see that the Fuma are behind it, the Fuma articulate what you already realize as a viewer, which is if Scheider is fighting a human being, he's not going to transform. But these fighters are seemingly better trained, faster, stronger than he is, entirely capable of killing him. And they have no such compulsions about killing him, whereas he is trying to bring them in alive. Um, this actually feels like a cohesive plot. If you could get humans to fight Scheider, then Scheider will not transform, and therefore you have a better chance of beating him. The only part of that logic that I don't like is it does sort of say that without the armor, Scheider is ineffective. I don't think that's necessarily the message they were trying to send, especially considering that his sidekick Annie, who is effective not only against human beings but against monsters and foot soldiers and whatever else, is entirely capable of doing this without other enhancement. And there's nothing to suggest that the fact that she's an alien enhances her physical abilities in any way. So that's probably not what they're trying to say, but that's sort of a lingering in the back of your mind. If you can stop him from armoring up and getting his combat suit, then you have essentially hamstrung him. But it's a sound plot, and it's a sound plan from the bad guys. To me, one of the more interesting things about the episode is typically the dynamic in one of these shows would work like this. Our big damn hero would take a beating, so it would be Scheider, from the tournament fighters, while the sidekick, or the female lead, so in this case Annie, goes and looks for the athletes to set them free. Well, That's not the way this one works, folks. They reverse the roles. Annie continues to be my favorite character in this show. Annie might be one of my favorite female leads in any tokusatsu show ever at this point. But they essentially, she goes to the tournament, she fights, and she holds off, at one point, she holds off a 2-on-1 and then briefly a 3-on-1 attack by herself, while Shaider goes and finds the athletes and frees them. And then, of course, once he realizes and figures out, oh wait, they're not human anymore, the Fuma have messed with them, then of course he's able to cut loose. That episode, I enjoyed a great deal. We also get an episode where we are introduced to Hemley, who is Hessler's brother. Interesting concept. They don't really explore it, I'm afraid. He's there for one episode. But in that one episode, they teased me. They teased me of possibilities of intrigue and an ongoing plot and a rivalry between these two brothers to see who would kill Shaider and so on. That would be a really wonderful ongoing plot. But they teased me. It's over and done in one episode. But the look of Hemley was very good. The costume was very good. It showed some more of Hessler's character, which I liked. It does show that Hessler will buck the system if he feels his position is threatened, because Hemley is presented this golden sword for essentially, they think, defeating Shaider with this poisonous tarantula. But he's presented with this golden sword as a token of appreciation, and that basically lets Hessler go, I think my spot, Lord Kublai might like you, but I think my spot's in danger, and not even my brother is going to keep me from that. So there's some character moments there, all on the villain side, but I would have took it, especially if it had been something ongoing. That is something that a modern tokusatsu show would have stretched over a number of episodes. Here it's one and done. Does it feel rushed? Maybe not. Not the way they handled it, but they could have got more out of it. The last episode that really stuck out to me is actually the last episode out of this batch, which is episode 22. And that involves something called the Fuma Fuma Monsters, or Attack of the Killer Tribbles. So, basically, in what is one of the most ridiculous things I've seen in a tokusatsu show, the giant floating head on the wall comes down with a cold, basically, and Lord Kublai sneezes out all of these premature monster eggs. And then suddenly a plan hatches. We now have all these eggs. Why don't we can them and sell them as pets? Just add heat, boom, you get a pet. The problem is that they're all docile and are perfectly cute, harmless little pets. Until the Fuma inject one of them with this enzyme, poison, solution, formula, something that makes it monstrous and monstrous, aggressive, and it basically becomes the leader for all of them. And any of them that this leader one comes in contact with go nuts and join it. So that was kind of interesting. The idea of a legion of tiny monsters instead of one big monster. Interesting idea. Like I said, at different points it felt like the Attack of the Killer Tribbles, but it was a fun little episode and a really fun concept, one that I've never really seen in a Toku show before. So, and that's saying something, because I've seen a lot of Toku shows. Overall, I've given you the pluses. I think the visual effects have greatly improved. I think we're seeing more and more episodes that are very well written, that are really cool, satisfying one and done stories. downside stuff, at this point, me saying Annie is an upside is becoming cliche. Just accept that Annie is fantastic in this show. Shaider is getting better and improving. I'll also throw that in. There's one visual effect that I particularly like when he is using the laser blade, where it's a seamless effect, which up to this point they really haven't pulled off this well, where he swings the laser blade from a distance, and at the end of the swing, the blade extends out and wraps like a whip. And when he brings it back, he's able to shut it down, and it shut down the whip so it's back to a blade, and it's actually a very well done, seamless optical effect, which is fantastic for 1984. So, downsides out of these episodes, there's still no ongoing plot in any way beyond bad guy constantly attempting to take over the world. Annie, in a few of these episodes, actually gets relegated to being a damsel in distress in a couple episodes, which is unfortunate because they have done a lot to make her a very strong female lead up to this point, be that intentional or not. And so for her to randomly become a damsel in a couple of these episodes is a little rough. But still, so far so good. So, beyond that, I really... Oh, and the other bad thing, just up and offing Himmler. Not him, yeah, Himley? It's Hessler and Himley. Just up and offing Hessler's brother. That to me is a downside. There was so much more that could have been done with that. So, all in all, so far, this is making me excited to watch the next batch of episodes. This actually makes me feel more hopeful about the series, because up to this point, I was feeling kind of bad about it. So now, perhaps we're going to get some better stuff, and I'm looking forward to getting past the halfway mark and into the second half of the series. We've only got 5 parts left, so next time around we will be hitting the halfway mark of the series. Next go round, we'll be doing 5 episodes. We're going to be checking out episodes 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. So we're going to be checking out The Great Escape with Wounds All Over is episode 23. 24 is The Beautiful Pose Mask. Episode 25, Esper Queen. Episode 26, Great Crash into the Demon Zone. And episode 27, The Demon Island Deathmatch. So those 5 will be the next batch that we check out. So, very much looking forward to all of the above on that one, folks. It should be really, really fun. You know what? As I'm looking through here, I think one of my episodes got knocked out of order because I'm seeing an episode title here that I'm remembering from what I just watched. So, here's hoping I'm wrong and the episodes are not out of order on my drive. But I may have already watched Policewoman with 100 Faces. I just realized that as I'm looking through the episode title list here. Oh, crud. But anyway, if I did, I did, and if I didn't, I didn't. I don't think it changes my overall opinions thus far, although any Annie episode, centric episode is good. So, folks, if you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, please give it a thumbs down. Just let us know in the comments below. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button already. That really does help us out here at Geek Carolina. If you want to support us out here and help us get new lighting, new cameras, such as that, you can go to our Cafe Press store, cafepress.com/geekcarolina. All the old stuff is slowly migrating over there from the old ECS network store. So if your favorite shirt that you saw on the store previously is not there now, don't worry, it will be soon. And I need your help, folks, because we're getting close to watching another show, and I got to know what I'm going to watch. So, I think the consensus has been that it should be something not from one of the mainstream franchises. So, here are the choices. This means it's not going to be Metal Hero, it's not going to be Ultraman, it's not going to be Kamen Rider, it's not going to be Super Sentai, it's not going to be Power Rangers. So, your choices are as follows. Ryu Kendo, because that's one that I've heard bantered about, that some people have asked me to watch. Ryu Kendo, Keitai Sosakan 7, which is a little out there for a tokusatsu show. It's not quite the normal Toku Hero show. So Keitai Sosokan 7, Ryukendo, I think it's Rescue Force, Tamika Rescue Force, which was sort of Tamika's take on a tokusatsu hero show that was actually, by all accounts, really good. Or Garo, the original Garo. Which, if I do that one, I think I've got the Blu-ray over there of it now. So, matter of fact, I know I've got the Blu-ray of it sitting over there. So, one of those four: Keitai Sosokan 7, Ryukendo, Rescue Hero, or Garo. Or, if you have your own idea, let me know. Regardless, put it in the comments to this video, and we'll start figuring out what the next show to watch will be. We love the feedback. So, thank you much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and until next time when we look at more Uchuu Keiji Shaider here on the DenziBlitz, I'm Mike, and I'll see you around.